Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I got two stories today and one may affect every single person cruising in the United States coming up in the next month or who knows how long. Another story is about streamers who were kicked off a cruise ship for various reasons. Not just one, not just two, a total of 7 were kicked off a cruise ship in Royal Caribbean, and they're calling them cruise streamers. They're not. So our first story today involves the FAA is now cutting over 10% of air traffic in the United States. That's right, they're just overnight, starting today, 10%. That means 1 in 10 flights has to be disappeared. And the reason for this is on the ongoing government shutdown, especially with the air traffic controllers and the border security, etc. People are working without pay right now, and many of them are just saying, well, I'm not going in today. I'm calling in sick today. The heck with it. Why? I'm not getting paid. Why should I go into work? And it's causing many shortages in staffing, and they're saying it could become dangerous, especially for air traffic controllers, if this continues. So the FAA, until further notice, is shutting traffic by 10%. Now, the major hubs, so we're talking like Dallas, Houston, Miami, Los Angeles, New York. We're talking major hubs of airlines. If you're flying from a hub to a hub, so you're flying Los Angeles to Miami, chances are your flights won't be disrupted as much. However, it's the smaller flights, the flights that would get you to Los Angeles to fly to Miami. Here in Canada, it would be for me a flight from Ottawa to Toronto and then Toronto to Miami. Well, my flight from Ottawa to Toronto might have been the one affected, if you understand what I'm saying. It's the smaller commuter flights that will be most heavily hit by this. Now, that means hundreds upon hundreds of flights will be canceled each day going forward. And passengers on cruise ships are being warned that maybe a one-day cushion might not even be enough right now. You might want 2, especially if you're flying into busy airports or you're leaving from a much smaller airline. It's becoming a little bit of a concern for a lot of people, and definitely do not schedule yourself to fly in the day of. Because you know as well as I do, if you're relying on everything to go perfect, it's not going to. Something's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. I fly out next weekend. My niece and nephew Paul are actually flying home from Los Angeles. Luckily, it's a hub to a hub. So it's LA to Toronto. And in Canada, we're not having the shutdown, so their flight back to Ottawa should be fine. But wow, it's very worrisome for a lot of people who are heading out on cruises this weekend, especially today, with a lot of confusion. And now we have the uncertainty going forward of, is 10% going to be enough? Are they going to start cutting to 20% at one point, 30% at one point? How much do they start cutting the airlines until all this is resolved and solved by the governments? We'll have to wait and see. All right. Now I got a story about some streamers, but before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the airline shutdowns that might affect your cruise to new ships coming online like the Celebrity XL and the brand new Star Princess, and basically everything to do with cruising. We'll cover it here on the channel and try and keep you as best informed I can, keep you updated, maybe make your next cruise a little easier, a little safer, a little less stressful, and hopefully even save you some money in the meantime. Hope you'll join us. It really does help the channel when you hit that subscribe button, and I really do appreciate it. All right, let's talk about what some media out there are calling cruise streamers, who apparently are all from the website Kick. Kick is sort of like a Twitch stream where there's a lot of live streamers going on and etc. Various different things, but many people on Kick are on Kick because they have been kicked off other platforms like YouTube and Twitch, etc., because of the way they conduct themselves during their live streams, right? They break rules that are not allowed, say, for instance, on YouTube. Well, they were on the Harmony of the Seas, and apparently a few of them were causing some very big disruptions. And what do I mean by disruptions? Well, one pair were, I think it's Dave Willis and David, another David out there, David Ryan, I believe, and they got to do an altercation on the pool deck over another content creator, and they got into a fight and started rolling around fighting on the pool deck. You know that's going to get you banned. And sure enough, in Roatan, they were escorted off the ship the minute the ship docked at that point. But that's not all some of these Kick streamers were doing. It's called IRL, a lot of them, you know, in real life streaming kind of thing. And a lot of streamers out there who do this kind of content do really, you know, just fun stuff, a day in the life kind of thing. But many of them like to go out and try and get reactions from other people, and that's what they're getting, you know, donated for on their live stream. People, hey, you know, oh, that was really funny that you got that guy really upset, or you insulted that girl and her reaction was really funny. That kind of content, which I quite frankly, I don't know how you can watch, but, you know, people will watch what they want to watch. However, they did stuff like walking around the hallways and looking for upside down pineapples, and even knocking on some people's doors who had decorations and asking them if they're swingers. They would stand up in places like the during a game show going on where the ice skating rink is, and they would stand in front of everybody streaming live with their camera like this, streaming, purposely blocking people behind them to get their reaction. And when they reacted, then they turned around and started filming them to show their reaction on screen, right? This is the kind of content some of them are coming. And one of the most famous people of those streamers is a person called Ice Poseidon, who is now on Kick because couldn't do other platforms. He's had controversy in the past. However, he was complaining about being kicked off and saying it looks like he was kind of baited, etc. Now, none of the content coming out says that he was doing anything, but then he goes on to say, you know, that this streamer was filming an upskirt. He filmed underneath this girl's skirt on the cruise. And he started talking about what other streamers were doing on the ship, and then was totally caught off guard when people were applauding and clapping when they were all kicked off the ship. Now, apparently some of them remained on the ship. Didn't get into any trouble. We'll see if that happens. But 2 were kicked off in Roatan, and then 5 the following day were kicked off in Mexico. So, yeah. To call these people cruise streamers is a bit of a stretch, right? They're not your normal people out there just vlogging their cruise like Tony from La Lita Loca or Jay from The Ship Life, or, you know, Gary Bembridge or Emma or Ben and David, or you know, everybody who seems to be just out there to film, hey, this is the cruise ship, and this is what you can expect when you come on a cruise ship. Some of these guys are out there to get reactions from people and get in people's face and basically cause trouble. So to say they're cruise streamers, really big stretch. Really, really big stretch. But I can see why people would applaud. And of course, the reaction of people who got kicked off were, well, dude, I don't get it. What are you being so upset about? You're like 70 years old. You're on the verge of death. What are you so upset about? People just going about their business. Well, because you're interrupting their vacation. And maybe he didn't, Ice Poseidon, but he definitely said that other people were doing it. So if you're doing it with a group of people, all from the same streaming platform, all on at the same time, all interacting together, it's no wonder many of you get bumped into the same category when something wrong happens. There you are. Well, let me know in the comments down below. Are you worried about your flights? Are you going to change your flights to leaving earlier in the day or flying in an extra day early? I know I've changed my flights to give myself a longer layover in an airport just next week, just to be safe. And I'm flying from Canada, so it should be much safer for me to fly as far as like interruptions are concerned, but we'll have to wait and see. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.